Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Well, good morning. Okay. Well, first of all, there's something wrong with my camera. Where's my camera? Let's fix the camera. What's wrong here? There we go. Good morning, Lucas. Let's configure the video here really quick. I'm just thinking, maybe the exposure and then off. There. I think that's a little bit better. Okay, well, there's the open. We got all damn asks again at like 100 levels out. What the fuck? Why does it do that? I just don't understand. You stick an ask, thousands, put some size on the offer. It's 100 ticks out. Nothing. Algorithms actually read that and make, or is that for us? Is that for the humans? Is that for the humans? And he's saying, I'm gonna buy it today. I don't know, but it seems awfully weird to me. It seems awfully weird to me. And yes, okay, so my YouTube is not giving me correct reporting numbers, but Uzi points out Mueller testifies today. Yeah, and so I think that we're likely to have a really boring trading day today. I hope not, but I'm just thinking back to, like, remember when the Kavanaugh hearings happened? And it was like, oh, maybe the markets might react to it, or let's see what happened. Nothing happened. Nothing ever happened. It was just boring. Well, I mean, it was entertain. It was, I don't want to say it was entertainment, but I mean, I watched it. I was engrossed in those hearings, but nothing happened in the markets. Nothing happened in the markets. Let's load our levels. Bitcoin taking another little dip last night. I think, so here's the thing, is that a lot of the super anti Bitfinex people on Twitter were saying that Bitfinex is probably going to try and print as much stuff as it can before the end of the month, because after that it might not be able to. And there was a little bit of a print, but then it is just like, I don't know, it's kind of died off. And that they're coming down right now seems extremely bearish to me in Bitcoin. I could be wrong, but that my reading off of that so far, and it could maybe not matter because they might, they could come in and do it at any time. But it seems to me to be a very bearish sign at the moment. Okay, well. In this view, Okay, Uzi says next target for ZBE is 155.06. There we go. Okay, so today is the 24th July. July 24. So far, well, we haven't even gone through the charts. Let's go through the charts. Okay, so had a little bit of a pullback yesterday in the E-mini, but they did eventually buy up. It's kind of like, just like every other day, there's been a little bit of a short, but then they all get blown out. And the Treasuries back to about where they were. I was surprised. We got, some pretty good calls in chat yesterday, but man, they all happened after we were done. So they were all useless, but I appreciate it anyways, guys. But ZB has taken a little bit of a step up for who knows why and is kind of stuck here in a range. There's still some talk about this Chinese trade deal. It sounds good. Looks like they might be turning here. But first we got to put in here. Okay. I'm just going to say this was the open. I think that the tendency is going to be up. And it was at, where was it at? When we opened, it was at 17.5. I kind of wonder. I don't think that any algorithm is going to be fooled by that. Could be wrong, but I think that the algorithms would just be like, okay, whatever, dude. It's 100 out. It filters it out, right? But maybe it's for us humans. Maybe it's for us to sit there and do exactly what we're doing right now. Is this guy telling us that he's buying it today? That's his bias? Is he's buying it today? That's why he's putting asks on? I don't know. Could be. We'll see. So this was the open spike. And then since then it hasn't really given us a signal, but it does look like at 18 here that it has decreased. That tends to be a continuation, right? Well, let's see if we can get the Mueller thing up, huh? You guys want to listen to that? So with all of these notifications. Robert Mueller live, Fox News, NBC News, Fox Business, C-SPAN. Thank you. Okay. So, yeah, Izzy's kind of like, I guess if you're gonna make me. They're still getting ready. I had my feel of the Mueller stuff. Yeah, I have to say, especially since the Department of Justice has said that they need to stay within the bounds of the original report. But I think that this whole thing is going to be that Democrats want to get out Mueller, his opinion, like that Donald Trump should have been indicted over it or something like that. I don't think that he would be the kind of person that would come in and say something like that. But that's what it's basically going to be, right? Mnuchin tells reporters he expects there to be a few more U.S.-China meetings before any trade deal. It has been reported that Robert Mueller is saying he did not apply an interview for the job of FBI director and get turned down the day before he was wrongfully appointed special counsel. Hope he doesn't say that under oath, in that we have numerous witnesses to the interviews, including the Vice President of the United States. Uzi, though not being on Facebook, I know I'm missing all of my lefty friends pissing themselves with excitement right now. I'll also miss their hopes being dashed again. And good morning, Nicholas. You know, Uzi, I have not seen nearly as much excitement about this one as all of the things in the past. For instance, when he gave his press conference, there was a way more run up about that on Reddit. My Facebook, I'm going to take a quick look here. Here in Utah, it is Pioneer Day. That kind of makes a crappy day like this like just that much more painful to me. Yeah, I don't see anybody talking about it. Not even my leftiest of lefty friends. Not even the full-on communists that I know on Facebook. Okay, well, I was thinking maybe we were going to get like a decreasing volume sort of a thing, but we didn't. It's just kind of hanging out here near the high. Maybe they finally learned. Oh, and good morning, R Hall. That is a new name? So I would say, I'm pretty sure that's a new name. If it's not a new name and I just don't remember you, then I'm an awful person and I apologize. But pretty sure that you're new. So welcome in. Welcome to our nice little community here. Ooh, speaking of which, I'm gonna do two things. First of all, should always say thank you to the Patreon supporters. If you haven't checked out the Patreon lately, you should go and check it out. Good stuff on that chart. Also, do have a video coming out today. Normally I would release the videos on Monday, but I think because Wednesday tends to be the most popular day for us, most active market, we're going to try putting it out today. Maybe with Mueller going on and everything, maybe it's not a very good time, but I got to put this one out now, and next week is going to be the presidential debates, right? So we'll be doing that. And then I have another video that I'm already working on that maybe I'll put out in August. But the video that I'm putting out today is about trading books. So I would like you guys to sit and think about what is your favorite trading book, so that when we put the video out at 8:30, we can all be ready to go and pounce on that with our comments. Yeah, should be fun. And I don't think it's the most amazing video in the world, but when I watch the video, it makes me so happy. To be honest, it makes me so happy because I never thought that I would be able to create something like that. I did everything in that video from scratch. I edited it myself. I recorded it myself. I made the music and the sound effects and the intro myself. The intro was fun. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm super stoked. I'm like, hey, I could be pretty good at this. Maybe I should have done this as a job instead of technology. I don't know. Probably not. Probably wouldn't make as much money. I'm pretty happy with what I make programming. Although, I don't know what's going to be happening at my work because they are like reorganizing everything. So that's kind of a little anxiety inducing, but I'm sure we'll all be fine. Okay, so now we've got... He has just walked into the room, and everybody wants to take pictures, and there's a couple of reporters trying to get him to answer questions, which is dumb. They should just shut up. Anyways. So this is... isn't this what it did yesterday? Well, it's not quite what it did yesterday. Yesterday, they moved up, and then they zippered, and they had a really good move up. Today, they're zippering pretty much right where they opened. And this is like basically the top end of this range that we've been in for almost a week now.
The Judiciary Committee will come to order. Without objection, the chair
is the volume on that okay?
Recesses of the committee at any time. We welcome everyone to today's hearing on oversight of the report.
Other question is the brightness in the video for my face good? Because we modified that, you know. So I was watching my video yesterday and I was like, it looks a little bright.
I want to say just a few words about our themes today: responsibility, integrity, and accountability. Your career, for example, is a model of responsibility. You are a decorated Marine officer. You were awarded a Purple Heart and the Bronze Star for Valor in Vietnam.
Look at his face.
You served in senior roles at the Department of Justice.
Look at his face. So he's hearing this. He's there. What does his face say to me?
You returned to public service to lead the investigation.
Show me his face again. Show me his face again, please.
You conducted that investigation.
Well, because I'm talking about it, obviously, okay. Look at his face.
You never commented in public about
He's kind of like, all right, here the political games start again. That's what that guy is thinking. I think. That's my take. I could be wrong. Of course, I'm not a mind reader. But his face to me seems like that's somebody that is tired of politicians. This is where we learn to trade like Buffett. Is this where we learn to trade like Buffett? Oh, no, absolutely not. No, so I'll tell you what. Warren Buffett is an investor. He's not a trader. And he is the master at holding things for as long as possible. And that is not me. Well, you know what? When I invest, I hold things. I've held things longer than I should. But when we're trading here, it's like we're in for a few minutes, if that. Not even 5 minutes when we take a trade. But we haven't been taking trades this week because it's summer and we are back forward testing a new indicator. This indicator isn't like a completely new strategy. It's kind of more of an enhancement to some of the things that we already do. But we want to make sure that we completely understand what it's telling us, and so we're just watching it and not trading it so that our trades don't interfere with our analysis and understanding of it.
Not to cooperate. Close quote. Among the most
If it can't trade, we would all need to go back to 1970, right?
White House counsel to have you fired, and then to lie and deny that it had happened. He ordered his former campaign manager to convince the recused Attorney General to step in and limit your work. And he attempted to prevent witnesses from cooperating with your investigation.
It is hard to listen to because I'm listening to all the things that Nadler are saying. And I'm like, yeah, he did all of those things.
Any other person who acted
So?
in this way would have been charged with crimes.
No,
In this nation, not even the president is above the law.
not true. It's not true that he would be charged with crimes because you're the president. Only the president can do something like that. And it didn't obstruct the investigation. So how is any of that a crime? See, I just can't even. I shouldn't comment, but I just can't. I can't handle it, man. Dems need to give this up, and Congress should get to work. Yeah. Well, I tell you, the sad thing, the thing that frustrates me the most about Congress right now, because it's not like the House isn't doing anything. It's just that the House is spending all of their time grandstanding. Like yesterday, they did this thing with minimum wage. Obviously, stands no chance of passing through the Senate. Why don't they work on a bill that they know can make it through the Senate? I know that there are bills out there that could do that. They could fix immigration. Like they could fix our immigration laws. They could do something very, very limited. But they don't want to.
The ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Collins, for his
It also affects our ability to make a living trading.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you.
Yeah. Well,
For 2 years leading
summer
up to the
makes
release of the Mueller report,
affects our ability to make a living trading anyways, right?
What to expect and then what to believe. Collusion, we were told, was in plain
Hey, good
sight.
morning, Algo
Even
Lover.
if the special counsel
So I was just
stated
saying,
it
Algo
was
Lover, it seemed like he had a good call yesterday, but the call, and there's a couple of other good calls yesterday, but they all went through long after I was gone, so they're completely useless to me. I appreciate the help, but it was useless.
We will do that.
But yesterday was weird action, wasn't it? Because they went down.
An investigation that closed in April.
Look at that. So Algo Lover said that if they didn't make it up through this, he said if they didn't make it up through this thing right here, which they didn't, that they would move down and push lower. And sure enough, they did. But then overnight, they come right back up to where we were.
They did. Russians access Democrat.
Okay, well, let's see what he says today. If buyers maintain their bid above $29.95, then 13 is the target. If $29.95 breaks, then anticipate a deeper pullback.
Mr. Mueller concluded he did not. His family or advisors.
By the way, can you guys hear me over the Mueller testimony okay, or should I turn that down a little bit?
The president watched the public narrative surrounding this investigation.
I'm kind of already thinking like, it's distracting me. They moved down there though.
Report details the president's reaction to frustrating investigation where his innocence was established
bids pulling a little bit. Do you see this thing where okay, so like there's about 500 asks added and about 600. Oh, what's the difference? Yeah, so about 50 more orders that pulled, and it comes down.
Russia meddled in the 2016 election.
Uzi says it's a good. Okay.
And nothing we hear today will change.
I may turn it off if it interrupts my thought process too much.
I look forward to Mr. Mueller's testimony.
I'm not so sure that this.
In addition, the Inspector General continues to review.
Man, I mean, I don't know if this really even trades. I mean, look at this. They came down and back up. That is. That was just messing around with liquidity. When it starts chopping like that, you see a gap and then a gap. That's not good trading.
As a result of the political leanings of a handful of FBI agents. The origins and conclusions of the Mueller investigation are the same things. What it means to be American. Every American has a voice in our democracy, so it must protect the sanctity of their voice by combating election interference. Every American enjoys the presumption of innocence and guarantee of due process. If we carry anything away today, it must be that we increase our vigilance against foreign election interference while we ensure our government officials don't weaponize their power against
if it isn't going to affect our trading, maybe go ahead and turn it off. It'll just frustrate us all.
We must agree that the opportunity cost here is too high.
Well, I'm hoping. Did I just say I'm hoping? Hoping. No, I'm hoping that if Mueller does do something that ignites fireworks, he's going to do it at the beginning. I think Democrats are going to go in and ask him a question, and he's going to be like, "Oh, they should totally indict Donald Trump." That's what That's what he would do. That's what I would do. If I was going to do something like that, I'd just be like right from the beginning, let them know that that's what I'm there for, because then they're going to give me all the opportunities to say what I want to say.
However, this year, because the majority's dislike of this president and the endless hearing into a closed investigation have caused us to accomplish nothing except talk about the problems of our country while our border is on fire and crisis and everything else is stopped. This hearing is long overdue. We have had truth for months. No American conspired to throw our election. What we need today is to let that truth bring us confidence, and I hope, Mr. Chairman, closure. With that, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. I will now introduce today's witness. Robert Mueller served as director of the FBI from 2001 to 2013. And most recently served as special counsel in the Department of Justice, overseeing the investigation into Russian interference in the 2000.
Valera, by the way, welcome. Thank you for watching on Twitch. We appreciate it. We don't have a ton of viewers on Twitch, but most people watch on YouTube. But I always love it when we get people on Twitch, because usually younger people. I'm sorry, we're off topic because I am new, but damn, looking at ZN chart is so nostalgic. I have not traded it since 2007. Really? You traded it in 2007? Tell me more about that. I would really like to know. So did you watch the Treasuries during the quote-unquote crash? Or were you out by then?
You're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief. So help you God. Let the record show the witness answered the affirmative. Thank you, and please be seated. Please note that your written statement will be entered into the record in its entirety. Accordingly, I ask that you summarize your testimony in 5 minutes. Director Mueller, you may begin.
Oh, he's not on Twitch. He's on Discord.
Good morning, Chairman Nadler, and Ranking Member Collins, and the members of the committee. As you know, in May 2017, the Acting Attorney General asked me to serve as special counsel. I undertook that role because I believed that it was
here's the key piece
to the nation to determine whether a foreign adversary had interfered in the presidential election. As the acting Attorney General said at the time, the appointment was necessary in order for the American people to have full confidence in the outcome. My staff and I carried out this assignment with that critical objective in mind: to work quietly, thoroughly, and with integrity so that the public would have full confidence in the outcome. The order appointing me as special counsel directed our office to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. This included investigating any links or coordination between the Russian government and individuals.
Is ZB going to hit
associated
0
with
in the
Trump
next
campaign.
2 hours?
It also included investigating.
His voice is
efforts to
shaking. You're right. He
interfere with
kind
the
of sounds a little
Russian
nervous.
investigation.
He also sounds a little
Throughout
old.
the investigation, I continually stressed two things to the team that we had assembled. First, we needed to do our work as thoroughly as possible. and
As to whether ZB
expeditiously
hits
as
the
possible.
0, I mean, I don't
It
know.
was in the public interest for our
But
investigation to be
I think
complete,
it's pretty likely.
not to last a day longer than was necessary. Second, the investigation needed
Given
to
the
be
way they
conducted
were
fairly.
popping up against this
and
here
with
at the top, I
absolute
think there's a pretty
integrity.
good chance that we make another run higher.
Our
But
team would not leak or take other
you know,
actions that could compromise
this
the
is
integrity
action that
of
I
our work.
probably would just be sitting on my hands
All
if I didn't
decisions
already
were
have
made
a bunch
based
of
on
profit baked
facts
in.
and the law. During the course of our investigation, we charged more than 30 defendants with committing federal crimes, including 12 officers of the Russian military. 7 defendants have been convicted or pled guilty. Certain of the charges we brought remain pending today. And for those matters, I stress that the indictments contain allegations, and every defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. In addition to the criminal charges we brought, as required by Justice Department regulations, we submitted a confidential report to the Attorney General at the conclusion of our investigation. The report set forth the results of our work and the reasons for our charging and declination decisions. The Attorney General later made the report largely public. As you know, I made a few limited remarks about our report when we closed the special counsel's office in May of this year. There are certain points that bear emphasis. First, our investigation found that the Russian government interfered in our election in sweeping and systematic fashion. Second, the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired with the Russian government in its election interference.
He looks like he hasn't slept in months. I don't know about that. I think
Not
he's just
addressed
old,
collusion,
but
which is not
could
a
be
legal
wrong.
term.
Give him a
Rather, we
Xanax.
focused on whether the evidence was sufficient to charge any member of the campaign with taking part in a criminal conspiracy, and it was not.
Boom. Okay, so
Third, our
Republicans are going to really
investigation
like
to
that he said
obstruct the
that.
investigation and lied to investigators.
Well, maybe not. I don't know, because it's like it wasn't sufficient.
Obstruction of
I don't know.
justice strikes at the core of the government's effort to find the truth and to hold wrongdoers accountable.
This goes back into that
Finally, as
same
described in Volume
that
2
same
of our
argument
report,
that they've been having
investigated
over
a
in
series of
r/politics
actions
over this.
by the president
That
to support
phrasing,
the
they're like,
investigation.
they did, you know,
Based on Justice Department policy
he didn't
and
say that they
principles
didn't
of
do
fairness,
anything wrong. He just said that
decided
they
we
couldn't
would
charge him.
not make a
I don't know.
determination as to whether the president committed a crime. That was our decision then, and it remains our decision today. Let me say a further word about my appearance today. It is unusual for
You're
a
right, dude.
prosecutor
You're
to
right.
testify about a criminal investigation.
Playing the bonds from this testimony is hard, yeah.
There are reasons
Well, look
why
at that
my
iceberg at 18.
testimony will necessarily be limited.
Oh, he is
First,
going
the
for it.
testimony could affect several ongoing
Okay, so
matters.
we get our first signal.
In some of these matters, court rules or judicial orders limit the disclosure of information to protect the fairness of the proceedings. And consistent with longstanding Justice Department policy, it would be inappropriate for me to comment in any way that could affect an ongoing matter. Second, the Justice Department has asserted privileges concerning investigative information and decisions, ongoing matters within the Justice Department, and deliberations within our office. These are Justice Department privileges that I will respect. The department has released a letter discussing the restrictions on my
That's an 8K iceberg at 18. I think that's
therefore
pretty
will not
likely to
be
go
able
through.
To answer questions about certain areas that I know are of public interest. For example, I am unable to address questions about the initial opening of the FBI's Russia investigation, which occurred months before my appointment. Or matters
I have
related to
not
the
seen
so-called
an
dossier.
iceberg that
These matters are
big
subject of ongoing
right
review
below the
by
low in
department.
quite some time.
Any questions on these topics
Like
should
the
be
last
forwarded
time we
to
saw
the
something like that, they hit
of the
it.
Justice Department.
There you go.
As I explained when we closed the special counsel's
That
office
one's
in
an
May,
easy call.
our report contains our findings and analysis and the reasons for the decisions we made. We conducted an extensive investigation.
Can't necessarily expect more than 2 or 3 on it
Writing
though.
the
So
report,
maybe 19, half,
we
and then we'll
stated the
see.
results of our
We get another
investigation
another aberration.
decision. We scrutinized every word. I do not intend to summarize or describe the results of our work in a different way in the course of my testimony today. As I said on May 29th, the report is my testimony, and I will stay within that text.
In translation, I'm going to make sure that this is
As
the
I
biggest
stated in
nothing
May,
burger
I will not
testimony
comment on
ever.
the actions of the Attorney General or of Congress.
That's
I
my
was
take.
appointed as a prosecutor, and I intend to adhere to that role and to the department standards that govern it. I'll be joined today by Deputy Special Counsel Aaron Zebley. Mr. Zebley has extensive experience as a federal prosecutor and at the FBI, where he served as my chief of staff. And Mr. Zebley was responsible for the day-to-day oversight.
I still don't quite like the camera. Let's mess with it again, shall we? Hold on a second.
Now, I also want to again say thank you to the attorneys, the FBI agents, the analysts, the professional staff who helped us conduct this investigation in a fair and independent manner. These individuals who spent nearly 2 years of working on this matter were of the highest integrity. And let me say one more thing. Over the course of my career, I have seen a number of challenges to our democracy.
Previous high was
Russian
19
government's
half.
effort to interfere
So this is
in our
almost
elections
exactly like
is
yesterday.
among the most serious. And as I said on May 29th, this deserves the attention of every American. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We will now proceed under the 5-minute rule with questions. I will begin by recognizing myself for 5 minutes.
Oh boy, here comes Needler.
The President has repeatedly claimed that your report found there was no obstruction and that it completely and totally exonerated him. But that is not what your report said, is it?
Correct. It is not what the report said.
And now, reading from page 2 of volume 2 of your report that's on the screen, you wrote, quote, "If we had confidence after a thorough investigation of the facts that the President clearly did not commit obstruction of justice, we would so state. Based on the
ZBA
facts
yesterday's
and the
open. Yep.
applicable legal standards, however, we are
Are they going to be
unable
able to push it
reach
through
that
this? This is
judgment."
kind of
Close quote.
interesting.
Now,
I'm
does that say
surprised
there
that
was no
after them taking a tick, that's all they're getting.
In fact, you are actually unable to conclude the President did not commit obstruction of justice. Is that correct?
Well, we, at the outset, determined that we, when it came to the President's culpability, we needed to go forward only after taking into account the OLC opinion that indicated that a president, sitting president, cannot be.
So this comes back into this argument between him and Barr about whether or not that mattered. Because remember, Barr was saying that
And what about total
he told them that that didn't
exoneration?
matter.
You actually totally exonerate the President.
No.
Now, in fact, your reports expressly states that it does not exonerate.
Okay, so they ticked back down at 18 half.
And your investigation actually found,
That's
quote,
interesting.
multiple acts by the President that were capable of exerting undue influence over law enforcement investigations. including the Russian interference and obstruction investigations. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, Director Mueller, can you explain in
Somebody's
plain
going to
terms
get
what that
trapped here,
finding means
and
so
it's going to
American
be
people can
funny.
understand it?
Well, the finding indicates that
For me, it's going to be funny. Maybe if you're the person that gets trapped, it's probably not going to be so funny, will it?
that the president was not exculpated for the acts that he allegedly committed.
In fact, you were talking about incidents, quote, in which the president sought to use his official power outside of usual channels, unquote, to exert undue influence
Let's
over
pull
your
up Reddit
investigations.
here
Is
and
that
see
right?
if they're saying anything about this that
Now,
I'm
am I
missing.
correct that on page 7 of volume 2 of your report, you wrote, quote, the president became aware that his own conduct was being investigated in an obstruction of justice inquiry. At that point, the president engaged in a second phase of conduct involving public attacks on the investigation.
They're not even talking
non-public
about it on
efforts
the
to
Donald.
control it, and efforts in both public and private to encourage witnesses not to cooperate with the investigation, close quote. So President Trump's efforts to exert undue influence over your investigation intensified after the president became aware that he personally was being investigated?
I stick with the language that you have in front of you,
Which,
which comes from page 7, volume 2.
now, is it correct that if you concluded that the president committed the crime of obstruction, you could not publicly state that in your report or here today?
Can you repeat the question, sir?
Is it correct that if you had concluded that the president committed the crime of obstruction, you could not publicly state that in your report or here today?
Well, I would say the statement would be that you would not indict, and you would not indict because under the OLC opinion, a sitting president, excuse me, cannot be indicted.
And there's not even a
You could not
live
state
thread
that
about
because
it.
of the OLC opinion, if that would have been your conclusion.
OLC opinion was some guide, yes.
But under DOJ, under Department of Justice policy, the president could be prosecuted for obstruction of justice crimes after he leaves office, is correct?
True.
Thank you. Did any senior White House official refuse a request to be interviewed by you and your team?
I don't believe so.
The president?
Well, let me take that back. I would have to look at it, but I'm not certain that that was the case.
Did the president refuse a request to be interviewed by you and your team?
Yes.
Yes. And is it true that you tried for more than a year to secure an interview with the president?
Yes.
And is it true that you and your team advised the president's lawyer that, quote, an interview with the president is vital to our investigation, close
Yes.
quote?
Yes.
And is it true that you also, quote, stated that it is in the interest of the presidency and the public for an interview to take place, close quote?
Yes.
But the president still refused to sit for an interview by you or your team?
True. True.
Of course he did.
Did you also ask him to provide written answers to questions on the 10 possible episodes of obstruction of justice crimes involving him?
Are they going to hit
Did he
19?
provide any
It's
answers to
interesting that the
questions about
offers
whether
are
he engaged in
not
obstruction of
scared at
justice
all.
crimes?
I would have to check on that.
Although there's only
Mueller, we are
32 at
grateful that you're here to
19
explain your
half.
investigation and findings. Having reviewed
This
your
could
work, I believe
definitely
anyone else
move up.
would engage in the conduct described in your report would have been criminally prosecuted. Your work is vitally important to this committee and the American people because no one is above the law.
5 minutes up yet? Oh, you're right. This is a good question, Greg. It's been longer than 5 minutes, hasn't it?
Gentleman from
Noble Queen Shabazz El Bey says I traded the 30-year for 11 years. Wow. Well, I would really love to hear more from you, Noble. I've only been doing this for 3 years, and I've had good moments and bad moments, but I still feel like I'm missing a lot of things. If they don't bid through 27 here, then anticipate a pullback?
In any appearance before Congress, do you stand by that statement?
Yes.
Since closing the special counsel's office in May of 2019, have you conducted any additional interviews or obtained any new information in your role as special counsel?
In the wake of the report,
Since the closing of the office in May of 2019,
and the question was,
have you
do anything-
conducted any new interviews and any new witnesses,
No.
anything? And you can confirm you're no longer special counsel,
Hmm.
correct?
I am no longer special counsel.
At any time with the investigation, was your investigation curtailed or
They go back
curtailed
off,
or
we're at
stopped?
18 half again, and they
or hindered?
stack 3,000 on it.
Were you or your team provide any questions?
That
by
19
members of
is
Congress or majority
starting to
elected here
flicker a
today?
lot.
No.
Your report states that your investigative team included 19 lawyers and approximately 40 FBI agents and analysts and accountants. Are those numbers accurate?
Could you repeat that, please?
40 FBI agents, 19 lawyers, intelligence analysts, and forensic accountants. Are those numbers accurate? This was
Generally,
included in
yes.
your report.
Generally, yes.
Is it also true that you issued over 2,800 subpoenas, executed nearly 500 search warrants, obtained more than 230 orders for communication records, and 50 pen registers?
What sort of trading do you do? What time frame in particular?
In your
methodologies or
report, it's very
indicators?
simple. You
Good
did a lot of
question.
work,
Okay,
correct?
so
Yes.
I'm mostly trading the 10-year Treasury.
A lot of subpoenas.
I'm trading on very short time frame, like
Search
just
warrants.
trying to get a swing.
All right, a lot of search warrants, a lot
What
of
was
things. So
that?
you're very thorough.
The what?
In your opinion,
He's
very thorough. You listed
distracting my thought process here. I only trade the 10-year. I'm trading very, very short time frame. So I'm basically trying to catch like a swing, maybe 4 to 8 ticks max. And I mostly trade off of the DOM. I mostly trade off of, watching the orders, how the level 2 reacts to it. Some indicators that I do use, I don't really use some indicators per se, but I still do watch a VWAP in particular with my VWAP bands. And I have CCI here is another thing that I use. I don't have any like moving averages or anything like that. And cumulative delta, I really like to watch the cumulative delta. But yeah, for the most part, I'm just watching the volume. And also like where we are, like the volume profile to see where we were compared to the previous day and where like the opens and opening ranges are, to try and determine if the day has a particular bias. Because it seems to me like there's like this is a situation is a really good example. They just offered 4,000 there. Can't see it anymore, but they offered 4,000 there. Couldn't hold it. Who's to say that this guy that bought 8,000 at 18 doesn't mean business and isn't going to push us up another, 6 ticks or something? Like, there's no way we can know that because it's demand that's like still out there that we can't see. But there are some situations where you can predict with a good probability that is going to happen. Today is not one of them because it is so slow. And I don't know if that thing that happened there at 18, it was nothing, or if this guy is ready to buy it and he's going to push it up through here. And there's Ace. How have you been? You know what? I took a trade yesterday in the E-mini on Sim and it worked out and I was happy about it. Anyways. Seems to me like Mueller is being much more cautious in answering the Republican questions than the Democrat questions, wouldn't you say?
Statute 18 U.S.C. 371. Now, you said you chose your words carefully. Are you contradicting your report right now?
Not when I read it.
So you would change your answer to yes then?
No. If you look at the language.
Oh, man.
I'm reading your report, sir. It's a yes or no answer.
Page 180.
Page 180, volume 1. Okay. This was from your report.
Correct. And
I'll convert you yet. I tell you what, when you were gone, I made a couple of really bad trades in the E-mini. I wouldn't say really bad trades in the E-mini, but I was extremely frustrated.
Did you ever look into other countries investigated in the Russian interference into our election? Were other countries investigated or found knowledge that they had interference in our election?
We're getting closer. We do need to meet up. I'm telling you, I can't tell you guys everything quite yet, but I'm almost done with the yard. We're putting in more grass on Saturday, and then all of the big stuff is done. Got the stairs, got the grass in. I can kind of relax. Won't have any huge expenses anymore. And I won't have to be spending my whole weekend doing that. And then I think we're going to do a party. But I can't tell you anything about it yet. But I got some... Ooh, okay, so now 18 goes offer. 18 goes offer. That's bad.
computer crimes and the like. the government was implicated.
So you wrote in Volume 1 that
They
the
might
Russian
get trapped there.
government
Anyways,
interfered
I
in
have some big
2016
stuff to tell you maybe in the next
presidential
couple of
election,
weeks, so you
sweeping
stick around.
systematic, fashion. You also described in your report
Noble
that
Queen
then
says you do a
campaign
completely
chairman
unfamiliar sort of trading. I never had level 2 data.
Russian
Really?
operative Kalimnik, the
I really
campaign
thought that was like the
strategy
Treasuries
for
thing.
winning Democratic
So
votes in
what
Midwestern
indicators did you
states
use,
and
Noble
internal
Queen Mo?
polling data of the
I'm
campaign
interested.
selected.
And how successful have you
They
been
also
in
discussed the status of the Trump
the 11 years
campaign
that you
and
traded
Manafort's
it?
strategy for winning Democratic votes in Midwestern states. Months before that meeting, Manafort had caused internal data.
And
to be
once my
shared
schedule settles down, I'll be
with
back
Kalimnik,
more
and the
regular.
sharing
Yeah,
continued
that
for
helped
some
too.
period of time
We got to
after the
figure out. I mean,
votes
it would help for me to know
Accurate.
how you pick the particular spot. So I really want to get you down and sit down and try and figure out how you decide that. Because when I took it yesterday, well, I'll explain how I did it yesterday. Let me mute her for a second. The way that I did it the other day was we had a little bit of a move up in the overnight, and so I felt that there was a really good possibility that on the open the shorts were going to come out and try and push it back down before the open. And so I took it just before the open, and I had a few ticks in it, and then on the open they just sold it. But I looked at the profile and I said, okay, where's the spot? And then right here's the jump, and so I just put it in there like that and said, okay, we'll wait, and then let it go for 16 ticks. And it actually went a little bit further than that. And I waited for a stop run, and then when I got a stop run, I got out. Well, he says, right now, I'm going for a run. It's too hot to wait till later. I missed the opening, but oh well, yeah. It seems to me like it's that even in the E-mini, that the trade is just not very good in the summer. So, yeah. Anyways, let's turn it back on.
Russian efforts, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Now, was the investigation's determination, what was the investigation's determination regarding the frequency with which the Trump campaign made contact with the Russian government?
Well, I would have to refer you to the report on that.
Well, we went through.
Sounds like it was a good trade, but you know how I don't want to be in a trade during the open, but good job, 16 ticks, yeah.
Russians.
Well, I think that if I had been on live, I wouldn't have probably held it.
Officials or their associates.
Probably would have taken it off. But I felt like for stat collecting purposes that it was okay to hold it.
Well, Mr. Miller, I appreciate your being here and your report. From your testimony and the report, I think the American people have learned several things. First, the Russians wanted Trump to win. Second, the Russians went on a sweeping cyber influence campaign. The Russians hacked the DNC, and they got the Democratic game.
Happy Pie and Beer Day? Is it really Pie and Beer Day?
Russian campaign.
Well, I'll make sure to have some pie at least. I don't drink, but
agents and repeatedly internal data, polling, and messaging.
I'm surprised that 18 going offer here hasn't freaked out the longs more.
Influence the outcome of the election. They were armed with inside information.
I would think that if 17 half goes, that there should be a lot of people
by the Trump campaign, chairman,
feeling trapped and panicking.
My colleagues will probe
Because the 8K is a pretty big iceberg, right?
to keep this information from becoming public, but I think it's important for the American people to understand the gravity of the underlying problem that your report uncovered. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I would yield back.
Gentlelady.
Good morning, Director. If you'll let me quickly summarize your opening statement this morning. You said in Volume 1 on the issue of conspiracy, the special counsel determined that the investigation
It sounds to me like the Mueller saying Trump could be indicted after he leaves office is going to be like one of the bigger headlines that they're going to push today.
The special counsel did not make a determination on whether there was an obstruction of justice
Yeah.
crime committed
It's
by the president.
Pioneer Day in Utah, the day white folks came into Utah and pushed the natives out.
Counsel did not make what you called a traditional
I really hate
prosecution
Pioneer Day.
decision.
When I was a kid, I used to be like, oh, it's great. It's like another 4th of July. But now it's like, you usually don't get it off. Most people in Utah don't actually get it off. And it's really a pain working that day because they still have the parade. It's just a total pain in the butt.
Conclude that the president committed a crime. It also does not exonerate him. Now, I read that correctly?
Yes.
All right. Now, your report, and today you said at all times the special counsel team operated under, was guided by, and followed Justice Department.
In fact, let's go and see here.
So, which DOJ policy
Go and check
or principle
Reddit.
sets
I
forth
bet you
the
that
legal
they're
standard
already.
that an investigated person is
I bet you
not
they're already
exonerated
yapping
if
about
their
it.
innocence from criminal conduct is not conclusively
R
determined.
slash. Oh.
Can you repeat the last part of that question?
Yeah. Which DOJ policy or principle set forth a legal standard that an investigated person is not exonerated if their innocence from criminal conduct is not conclusively determined? Where does that language come from, Director? Where is the DOJ policy that says that? Let me make it easier.
Can I answer you? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can you give me an example other than Donald Trump where the Justice Department determined that an investigated person was not exonerated because their innocence was not conclusively determined?
I cannot, but this is a unique
Okay,
situation.
well, you can't.
Okay.
Time is short. I've got 5 minutes. Let's just leave it at.
That was a weird answer.
I'll tell you why. It doesn't exist.
Okay, Noble Quemo says, proprietary. I never found a publicly available indicator that I could do anything with. I made $150,000 during my senior year in college during the 30-year top in 1986.
It's not in the OLC.
Wow.
It's not in the Justice Manual, and it's not in the Principles of
But
Prosecution.
in
Nowhere do those
1986,
words
he would have
appear
been.
Because respectfully, Director, it was not the special counsel's job to conclude
What's wrong with their
Donald Trump's
securities?
innocence or to exonerate him.
I'm not quite sure what.
The
Understand
bedrock
what you're
principle
saying
of
wrong.
Our justice system is a
So Noble
presumption
Quemo,
of innocence.
could you maybe
It exists for
explain
everyone.
like
Everyone is
the
entitled to it,
indicators?
including
What was
sitting
the
presidents.
primary component of it? Was it like primarily based on price and some sort of calculation of price, or based on volume, or? I never had a losing year, but I also never stomped the market like that again. What are you, 100? Well, we've had a lot of older people in our channel. John is pretty ancient. Sounds like Ace is older than me, at least. I'm 34. Treasury tends to attract older people. I think that's because, there's some really attractive reasons to trade the Treasury, and usually the young bucks are, find the oil and the E-mini too attractive, and they overlook the advantages of the Treasuries. Greg Olaski says 51.
You made no decision. You told us this morning.
Man, this Republican is really reaming into him.
Respectfully, Director, you didn't follow the special.
What were you guys trading Model Ts? Well, how did you trade in 1986? Do you have to call them in over the phone?
In here does it say write a report about decisions that weren't reached? You wrote 180 pages. 180 pages about decisions that weren't reached, about potential crimes.
This guy is going
or decided.
off.
And respectfully, by doing that, you managed to violate every principle and the most sacred of traditions about prosecuting.
I'm 56, which should have been apparent if I was trading 30-year futures.
Potential crimes that aren't charged.
Okay.
So
I get you.
Americans need to know this as they listen to the Democrats and socialists on the other side of the aisle as they do dramatic readings.
What was it like with Lincoln in the White House?
That volume 2 of this report was not
Well, that would have been the Reagan
law
years, right?
to be written.
Yes, I called in my
It was written to a
orders.
legal standard
And
that
how
does
did
not
you get
exist at the
data?
Justice
You just
Department. And it was
watch
written in
TV,
violation
or
of every DOJ principle
do you have a
about
wire?
extra prosecutorial commentary. I agree with the chairman.
You certainly would have to be
Donald Trump
trading
is
a
not
much
above the law.
higher
He's
time
not.
frame than what
He
we
damn
trade,
sure
though.
shouldn't be below the law, which is where volume 2 of this report puts him.
What is this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Mueller, good morning.
Did they just cut him off?
The gentlelady from California demonstrates what is at stake.
Wait, did they just cut him
Chair
off?
Paul Manafort was passing sensitive voter information
That was
and polling
weird.
data to a Russian operative. And there were so many other ways that Russia subverted our democracy. Together with the evidence in Volume 1,
Let's
I
go and
cannot
change
think
this over
of a
to
more serious
Mueller.
need to investigate. So now I'm going to ask you some questions about obstruction of justice as it relates to Volume 2. On page 12 of Volume 2, you state, we determined that there were a sufficient factual and legal basis to further investigate
That
potential
whole
obstruction of justice
thing
issues
was
involving the president.
C-band satellite feed, hacked e-signal. I wrote my own trading platform software.
And which portion of that page?
That is a mighty,
Determined that there was a sufficient factual
quite
and legal basis to further investigate potential
impressive
obstruction of justice issues involving
story
the
that
president.
be
Is that
trading
correct?
back then, man.
Your report
I don't
also
think I've ever
describes
met
at least
anybody
10
that's been
separate
trading that
instances of
long.
possible obstruction of justice that were investigated by you and your team. Is that correct?
So my
In
next
fact,
question
the table
is,
of contents,
did you
serves as a
find
very good guide, of some of
particular
the acts of that
seasonal
obstruction of justice that you investigated?
patterns
And I put it up on the
in the
screen.
treasuries?
On
Like,
page
were there
157
certain
of
times of
Volume 2, you
year
describe those
or
acts,
certain
and
times
they
of
range
month
from
or
the
certain
president's
events
effort to
that you
curtail
were
the special counsel's
more
investigation,
likely to try and
the
trade?
president's further efforts to have the Attorney General take over the investigation.
It's definitely giving you a hard time.
Did
Did Russia actually hack the election, or is it a belief? Oh, okay. I understand what you're asking now. Hold on, let me mute them. So the whole thing here is that there were Russians that were trying to influence the election. When we say hack, I wouldn't really say hack is the right word to use there. They tried to influence the election. They did try to actually hack, but it appears that they failed. But they definitely tried to influence the election. But when you look at the things that they did to try and influence, well, they were actually quite ineffective. So it's kind of like, yes, the answer really is yes. Did Russians actually hack the election? I think the answer is yes. But does it really matter? Is it really I mean, the fact that they did it is obviously important. But in terms of like the actual result of the election and all of those sorts of things, does it actually matter? It doesn't. And kind of one of the problems that people have been having with this whole situation is that Democrats are trying to use the report and everything to say that Donald Trump is not a legitimate president because he was put there by the Russians. And it's just not accurate. They tried to influence the election. They weren't very successful. And the Podesta emails appeared to have a bigger influence than anything else. Reopening of the FBI investigation appeared to have a bigger impact than anything else. And the Russians was just kind of incidental. And so to say that it has any bearing on the legitimacy of the presidency, I think is laughable. But that's kind of the basis that the Democrat Party is running off of. I know that was like a lot of words and everything, but I hope that answered your question wrong. So I know that you're not in the US, and so it's kind of, a confusing thing. But, okay, so let's see here. About Thanksgiving, it got squirrely. Might as well take off for the year at that point. Summer wasn't usually particularly good. First half of the year and fall were the best. That's been I do really well for some reason. I do quite well at the beginning of the year. And then around late March or April, it's like everything just falls apart for me. And then same thing around Thanksgiving, it's kind of tough. But I've had some success in December. I have no way of knowing for sure, but I think the DNC email dump was an inside job, and the emails were very telling as far as their failed strategy, and the content of the emails was never challenged. Yeah, well, so you know what, really, I tell you what, I'm a weird person, right? And when I see something that that I know is either not true or not even not true, but just is not proven, it really bothers me. And one of the things that just totally pissed me off was that when the Podesta emails were released, there was people out on Twitter and Democrats on television trying to say that it like was not legit. And we were like, okay, like this happened. The content of the like Podesta was saying that it didn't happen, and then they went in and they said, here's something you're saying that you didn't say that, but you did. And then they went in and they actually used the information that was in the dump to hack his Twitter account again. And so then they really looked ridiculous because they were trying to say that the dump was fake, and they were so obviously lying. Oh, that really bothered me. And the same thing with the CrowdStrike thing. I mean, that issue has become so complicated that I can't really say what the situation is, other than that I don't completely buy the conspiracy theories. But it's like CrowdStrike. Like, if you know any, I've been involved in computer security, and I know who CrowdStrike are and everything, and the information that they released and stuff didn't prove or show us anything, and that super bothered me too. Anyways, I get what you're saying. Okay, let's see here. His station was right next to Jesse Livermore. Oh, I tell you what. Hey, so I know I've already mentioned it, but here in an hour I'm posting my latest, like full video that I've edited and everything, and it's about trading books, and we talk about that book. So be ready with your favorite books. So here in an hour, when it gets dropped, you can all go and leave a comment about what your favorite book is. Noble Queen says, I have a very good friend who was on the CME Board of Governors and is still a member. Wow. I never figured out how to do anything with volume or OI. I think that means open interest. Everything was strictly algorithmic. So strictly algorithmic, like based on price patterns? So then the next question would be, were you mostly trade trend or mean reversion type of trades, if that makes sense? Okay, Quimo says, yeah, close enough. I mean, put another way, was there anything other than actual price and time that would be required to recreate it today, basically? IQ asks if anyone is short for NCB. Well, I don't know. I tell you what, I thought that 17.5 going offer would have panicked people, but it did not. Let's put that in Discord. Noble Queen Mo says, no, that's sufficient, and I would say reversion. Okay. So if you trade reversion, what were the sorts of things, situations and indicators that you might see that would keep you out of the market, prevent you from taking a trade? Let's type something here in Discord. I'm kind of questioning if this thing can even move, because there was a big iceberg at 18. They pushed off of this side. Market didn't care. It's just, man, I tell you what. And we got a lot of pretty good number of viewers here just before the E-mini Open. And this is just the slowest market I think I've ever seen. This is like after Christmas action. Like, this is bad.
That said that this is not for me to decide, and the implication is that this is for this committee to decide. Now, you didn't use the word impeachable.
So then Algo says that he's short.
There is no statute to prevent
And
you
Greg
from
seems
using the
to
word
be
impeachable
saying that there's
conduct.
nothing wrong
And I
with
go
shorting.
back to what Mr. Radcliffe said,
I do kind of
and
feel
that
like
is
that
even
because
the
they didn't
president
break
is
out there at
innocent
19,
until
that
proven
they should be
guilty.
going short. But the fact that they didn't do anything when 17 half went offer kind of makes me
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
wonder.
First, I'd just like to
Don't forget oil and new home sales. This is a good point. When is the new home sales
establish that
today?
about your career.
That's at
It's
the
a
top of
model
the hour, right?
rectitude, and I thank you.
Yes, it's at the top of the
Based upon
hour.
your
Oh, there's also
investigation,
flash
how did President
manufacturing
Trump
PMI.
react to the report
That
of
would
the
do it
special
too.
counsel?
Again, send you the report for where that is stated.
Well, there is a quote from page 78 of your report, volume 2, which reads, when Sessions told the president that
The market was substantially different. There was no overnight trading. The opening was always bedlam.
Said, quote, oh my God, this is terrible. This is the end of my presidency. I'm effed, unquote. Did Attorney General Sessions
they
tell you
pull up
about
that
that
quote.
little talk?
I'm not.
Director, please speak into the microphone.
Oh, surely. My apologies. I am not certain of the.
A very good
the
ETH
person who
has ruined
originally,
a lot of day
copied
trading.
that quote.
Oh yeah, I get what you guys are saying. Yeah, now that you can trade through the overnight session and everything, it kind of changes things up a lot, because you could have come out on the open and known that, you know, the headlines and stuff that came out from Europe and have been doing something. Okay, so we're getting another event here. At, we're gonna say 18. So this, instead of a continuation, it just ranged. Okay, now we're going to say, I think that my bias today is still up 180. I heard that they were going to bring in Tom Hanks to play the part of the president for the rest of the term. That would be great. Okay, so Noble Quemo says, if I got a huge opening gap, that was reason to stay out until things sorted themselves out. Okay. So really big, strong, news-driven trends or volatility tended to, you didn't like to trade that. That's interesting. Tom Hanks plays every role. I don't think that they would bring him in to be the president, but can you imagine Tom Hanks with blonde hair? I don't know, man. I don't know if that casting makes sense. But, you know, the writers have done really good this season, so I don't know. You know, it's kind of gotten a little slow here over the summer, but, you know, they've had a good year. I just needed the overnight orders to work themselves out. Gotcha. So, see, kind of what I was saying before you came in here is it seems to me like there are situations where I can watch order flow and I can predict when it's going to do something. So right here at 18, there's actually, well, it's so slow that you can't really say. I think that this is a time period where it'd not be trading. But say that this market was a little bit more active. I could maybe short it at 18. Because they're moving back up and we're getting a ton of activity pushing into it. And no follow through into 18.5. That could be an indication that people are going to get trapped. If they continue to push, like if they do actually take 18.5, notice that it's pulling and they're not hitting into it. But if they actually do take 18.5 and then start hitting into that 19, it could flip out the other way. But the gist of it is that I can tell based on volume trading at a particular location that something is going to have to happen. And I can kind of figure out what the probabilities are and what my risk reward is and all that sort of a thing. Because move off of this sort of thing is quite consistent. All right. But the problem is that maybe it's going to reverse here. And then all of a sudden, some other guy, completely unrelated to all of this, he just barely woke up and he's ready to buy. And he's going to buy the market up 3 or 4 ticks, no matter what. And there's no way you can predict that. And so it seems to me, what you're doing is a lot closer to floor trading than what I did. Yeah, it's exactly what we're trying to do. Anyways, if something comes in like that, it's going to screw up your trade, right? So it seems to me like you can have a signal and stuff, but the one of the things that makes a really big difference is what your filters are. When do you decide, okay, I see that there is an event happening here where there's a lot of bids and offers being placed and the market seems to want to do something, but because Mueller is testifying and we have a really, really narrow opening range and we've already pushed both sides of this range and the market doesn't seem interested in going in, and that I'm not going to trade it. It seems like those sorts of things, that when I will and will not trade, are probably as important, if not more important, than the actual entry signal sometimes, He says, I'm just trying to dip my cup in the money stream a few times during the trading day. Yeah. Well, so you haven't been around these past 2 weeks much, Ace, but what we've been doing with this indicator, some of the days that we were trading it, you literally could have traded every swing with it. I don't think that that's what I want to do, but man, I liked it because it was like, oh, I can be much more active with it, potentially. There's been so many situations where I maybe held a trade because I didn't know what's going to happen. And when I watch this thing, it very clearly tells me when that thing is over. Because when you get an event like that, it changes everything. That old trade is no longer relevant. So I would probably, depending on what my reading of it is, I would very possibly get out or reverse. So this is telling us that it's going to go short and we got it down tick. So I'm wondering, I'm going to say that this was a reversal if it did. So now they're trying to hit back into 18 and they didn't hold it. And what is the 5-year saying? The 5-year, it's unclear. I am seeing some large bids. Should be careful with that one though, because yesterday it was like it was all bids and then they just kind of fell apart.
Wisniewska had been working with none other than Glenn Simpson.
This is good to hear.
Fusion GPS.
Now, we'll see. I think the plan is... So you have quite a few really good traders watching this stream? I think so. I mean, we usually get about 20 people watching, right? And there's a couple of guys in here that are really good. And they've either shown me, some of them have shown me statements. I don't think I've ever seen a statement from Ace, but Ace basically tells us every time that he's going to get into one. And man, it's almost eerie sometimes, the things that he tells us. And we watch them and they work out. So Ace is a really good one. Uzi has been around here for a really long time and does really, really well. Also, I think that Uzi showed me a statement at one point. My friend John, he's usually not here every day, but he pops in every once in a while when we mention his name, and he's quite good too. The thing that you got to keep in mind, Noble, is that I'm really not an amazing trader. Like, if anybody is coming here to try and grab some edge off of me, it's probably not going to work, because one, my performance is kind of spotty. I'll have like I did really really great January through April, I think, although a lot of that was on sim. And then, you know, things fell apart, and I still tend to have like these days where I just fall apart. It seems like I have not mastered the mental elements of this at all. Don't listen to him. I just use an old spinner wheel from Twister. Right. Anyways, and so I think the reason that our stream has done as well as it has in terms of attracting good traders is because we've been honest about it. I'm not out here coming in trying to make some grandiose claim that I can't back up. And, you know, because a lot of these guys on YouTube, what they'll do is they don't trade live, or they're lying about what they're trading. You know, they only show you trades after the fact and stuff like this, right? But here we're just totally open and honest about it, and we know that sometimes I don't do very well, and a lot of these that has led to is a lot of good traders coming in and helping me out. Because I just think that most of the good traders, they've been around for a couple of years. They've seen rooms, and they know that most of these guys are charlatans. Yep, they sell seminars and books instead of trading. Exactly. That's exactly what happens. Do you know the guy that invented RSI? And he invented a number of really popular indicators and stuff. And he had trouble trading. I mean, he lost money trading. It worked really, really well for a time, and then it stopped working. And he at the end, there's done some interviews since he stopped trading, and it was pretty much like he wasn't very. I think his name was Wilder, right? His last name was Wilder, but he didn't really consider himself a successful trader. Yeah, I don't remember what his first name was, but it was Wilder. Dalton. He also he trades market profile. Now that one's an odd situation because we know there are people out there that trade off of market profile or off of market theory and have been quite successful with it. But he doesn't trade with it. and he wasn't able to make it work either. And he actually stopped teaching it and everything because he kind of had decided based off of some statistical evidence or something that he had that it didn't work, or that he was wrong about some things. But then so many people were demanding webinars and stuff that he kept doing it. And he says that he talks to people all the time that are like so successful with it. I'm thinking that these longs might be getting trapped here, guys. The E-mini is moving up quite strongly on the open here. Well, it was only 2,000 contracts. Let's temper that a little bit. 2,000 to 3,000 contracts up on the open. It's actually been quite slow considering how long it's been open for, but they are breaking up, and we've got a lot of people that were long up here that are getting squeezed, I think. Yeah, everyone knows if you are a great trader, instead of having a good life, you now spend your time fishing for other traders to sell your method to, marketing, web, podcasts, etc. Right? Well, I always look at that like, so a couple of weeks ago, when I took those trades in the E-mini, and I was quite discouraged about things just suddenly not working for me in the E-mini. And I kind of took a step back, and I was like, it seems to me like I don't have an edge on this thing like I thought I did. And whenever that happens, you always kind of feel like, should I even be up here? You know, if I'm really not amazing at it. But, you know, that was kind of when I came to the conclusion that people aren't here necessarily because I'm an amazing trader. They're here because we have a great community and because they enjoy interacting with myself in the community. And because, we're doing things right. And even though in certain times we don't have edge, we're working and eventually we're going to, when we get past those. And I do have a pretty good edge at the beginning of the year. At least 2 or 3 years running now, I've done well during that time period. And hopefully with this new indicator and everything, it helps me during those slower times as well. Those are the sorts of things. And so that was when I kind of tried to change my perspective on it and say, no, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep making videos and do everything that you can. And, testing things and trying new ideas out and seeing what works and doesn't work. It's a constant thing. And someday you will find you'll see an opportunity and you get it. Mm-hmm. Traders often use the term X to represent someone's particular interest in buying or selling a security that's already on his books or hedging against it. In conversation, the term is often used to speculate about a trader's plan with regard to a security he holds. Oh, what are they talking about here? Oh, they were talking about something else. Bum, 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 ba-dum. I don't know, but there are certainly a lot of people. I'm here because you're one handsome glue. Oh, thank you very much. I'm not. It's another weird thing that's really weird is like, I tell you what, our perspective of ourselves is so weird. So when I look at myself in the camera, the thing that I can't, just this right eye wants to squint more. I think it's because I have more astigmatism in this eye. It drives me crazy. And I think some people have noticed it before, but like, I don't think anybody actually cares. And I took, so this new video that I'm going to put out today, I put a lot of effort into making it look nice this time. Like I made it so that my head was not reflecting as much light off and stuff. Like I really went through the rungs, but I don't think that anybody's going to notice or care. You know what I mean? Our perspectives of ourselves are not the way that people see us at all. Do you write code for NinjaTrader? I wrote too much C# for it. Yes, I've written quite a bit of code in C#. I've written a bunch of automated strategies. Some of them kind of show promise, but I've never quite been able to get one that I was like perfectly happy with. So I've never taken one of those and tried to make it live. I've certainly almost all of the indicators that I use now are written by myself. Actually, so this thing that you see right here that we're tracking is I wrote. Okay, well, that trade did work out, but you only got 2, and now we're getting another event. So what we're considering an event is like when it gets over 15,000 changes. Okay, so range, down, possibly a reversal, 17. This one, you could have gotten 2 with 1 against you. So it appears to me that what they're doing now is they're trying to scalp across this range between 17.5 and 18.5. But it might be turning into too obvious and they'll try and push them out. But we'll see. Yeah, so I coded that. I think next week, because here's the thing. We've got, what do we have? We have the FOMC meeting. There can actually be some good trading the few days before FOMC, so we'll see. But we need to, I have another idea that I want to program. I want to program a chart that doesn't show me how much is placed at every place on the level 2, but shows me which prices are changing the most in that time period. Kind of like the snapshot column. So it's like a Vista chart for the snapshot column. And I want to see, is there something to, like, maybe there's a price way above us that changes a lot more than the others? Are we more likely to go up to that price, for instance? Or do they just ignore it? Or perhaps it can give us a better, better clue of which ones are just changing, like this clicky sound that I wrote does. Well, it is 7:45. And I think our good friend Algo said that they needed to get above 3003, didn't he? And they did on pretty good momentum. I think that I could potentially buy it in here. If it came back to there, I could maybe buy that. Oh, now this one doesn't count because this one I'm going to have to say wasn't a signal because it's too close to the news. Okay, so here's the news, and it went higher. Oh my. Okay. That 19. Okay. Interesting. Yep, the flash PMI. So let's go out here and see what the number was. It's 52.2 versus a 51.8. That doesn't quite make sense. Hold on a second. Okay, so the manufacturing PMI was 50 versus 50.9. The services PMI was 52.2 versus 51.6. So the manufacturing was almost 1 point lower than expected, and that must be why they bought it up. But based on how much it was, that might have been an overreaction. I don't know. Flash PMI used to be a non-event. You're right. But any of the manufacturing numbers have been more important lately. Well, I don't know if they're ever going to come back for me in the E-mini now. I put that in there. I didn't even realize that. I didn't even think about the news. I'm so dumb. I need to pay attention a little bit better. This is kind of giving me a continuation here at 18.5. Okay, so we're going to say 18.5. Yeah, there you go. That one is quite likely to be. That, I think, has been the best, most clear signal that I've gotten out of this. Is if we make a new high or something like that, and then we pull back, and on the lower end of that range on the pullback, you get another event like this, and it's stronger than the previous events, then that is a really good indication that the market still wants to buy, and that it could be they could move higher. So there at 18.5, you could have gotten at least 2 off of it. They usually would be good for 3 or 4, maybe even 5. Depending on, I mean, with news attached to it, it could really go. But, and you know, Mueller's still talking. Maybe the traders decide that they don't care about Mueller anymore. So I certainly turned it off. Let's see what they're saying right now.
You found evidence, as you lay out in your report, that the president wanted to fire you because you were investigating him for obstruction of justice. Isn't that correct?
That's what it says in the report, yes. And I stand behind the report.
Director Mueller, that shouldn't happen in America. No president should be able
Oh
to
my gosh,
escape
look at this guy's
investigation by using his
face.
power.
He's like
But
so
that's
happy
what you
about
testified to in your
that.
report. The
Kind
president
of makes me sick. Have you heard of the new prop speed up trader? I think somebody actually has mentioned that to me before. It's another one of those combines like One Up Trader and everything, right? But you get funded faster. I think I have heard of that. There's an iceberg here at 19.5. There's not as much interest in this iceberg though. I kind of wonder if you get something like there's an iceberg and they don't really care, does that mean they're more likely to go through it? Anyways, Escarijo. Escarijo. Is that how you say it? I know you tested TST before, yeah. You probably watched my TST video, huh? Yeah, I mean, the thing is I just don't, I feel like with the micro futures out, that there's no reason, by the way, we should cancel that order because they're never coming back for it. I feel like that with the micro futures that there's no real reason to do the combines anymore. You know, like my position before was if you have something that the stats that say that you can pass the combine, then you can use the extra leverage, then you should do it. Otherwise, you shouldn't. You should just stay on sim. But now my Eserejo. Oh, okay. I'm just explaining how to say it. But now I say, trade micro futures. You can still trade sim. I still think there's benefits to sim, but there are severe limitations to sim too. That E-mini is buying. I wonder why. It's getting quite strong. I think that Algo said something like 3013 or something. I'll read in English. Esarejo. It just looks like a Spanish name to me. I'm sorry. Esarejo. Anyways, let's look up their website, shall we? Speed Up Trader. Trade futures with our money. You provide the trades, we do everything else. How it works. Pick the account, and we will set up a simulated trading account. Pass the test. I think I'll show you the different types of things. So this is clearly being targeted towards people that don't trade. They have kind of a similar sort of a thing. Let's see here. So if you trade a $50,000 account for $150 a month, the profit target is $3,000. Just like the top step with the daily loss limit of $1,250. So a little bit more limit. And you can draw down $2,500, but it's still a drawdown. You have to meet the consistency rule. The top 2 trading days added together can't be more than 75% of your total profits. Okay. Must close positions overnight. May not trade through major news events. Good luck with that one, folks. So the problem with that one is that none of these firms really have a good way to determine when you're having news. Oh, it's Portuguese. Oh, okay. I don't know. There's going. Look at that. They should be buying that. I feel left out. But it's okay. I had no clue what the E-mini was going to do there. And then after that initial buy, like, how can you go with that, you know? And now that it's done it, well, let's look here. That one actually kind of makes me nervous. That could be a false breakout. It could totally come back and fall back through. Rigged hamster wheels. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the problem that I have is that they're leveraging you up too much. If I trade one contract in ZN and I'm doing really well, I'll maybe make $500, right? So to pass that combine, I'm going to have to use the whole wad, right? If I'm using the whole wad, then a tick is like $100. So your chances of hitting that daily loss sort of a thing become a lot higher, right? They're basically forcing you to swing hard. If they went in and they said, you know what, if you can just make, well, let me back up. It's a $50,000 account. It's supposed to be a $50,000 account. Okay, and you make 3, so that's 6% in a month. Most prop firm, like big prop firms, make like 20% in a year, right? So to make 6% in a month is really hard. And you can only do that by doing something that is a little reckless. So they set the targets up to kind of encourage you to trade too big, I feel like. Okay, so Algo Lover says that it's nearing its 3013 target. So at that point, you would just take the profit, right? Not enough room, not enough time. I have to make 3K twice. Yep. I do have a feeling that the consistency rule is designed to make you fail. Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is that they get too many people that get funded because they had one lucky trade. So they introduced that rule to stop that. But that just kind of shows you what's going on. Is like people find something that they can get in with, and they have to change it. I don't know. Like I said, with micro index futures, I don't understand what the advantage of a combine is at this point, unless you really know that you would pass it. But then the big question then at that point is there somebody, what I would like to see? I would like to see somebody do a combine 2 or 3 times in a row and pass it 2 or 3 times in a row and videotape the whole thing. I don't think you'll ever see it, because I think that to pass a combine, you have to get lucky. You have to have a little bit of luck. Greg says, but the lucky trade is the only way to win. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, our trade there, when we were at 18.5, said, was it here at 18.5? Yeah, it was. Right there at 7:45. And then when we came up, it was 19.5. So 2... 1, 2, 3, 4. When I look at this, it seems to me like when I get my signals, about 60% of the time it's going to reverse. And you can expect to get 2 to 5 ticks from it in a slow market. But it seems to me like so many of them range, don't go anywhere. Or there's the ones where they do continue through. So it seems to me like there's some edge in this, but that the edge is going to be picking your trades still. You know? Like this one right here, 19.5, I think you have to say that that's not a signal. Or that it's going to continue. I wonder when that happened, did they... Yeah, see, they as soon as they got through it, they started stacking it. And the E-mini was moving. So I think you got to keep it. Are you still trading futures? Absolutely, yes. So let me go through what happened. This kind of funny story. So I made that video, and I don't know if I had just barely passed or blown a combine or something, but when I go back and I look at that video, I watched it like 2 or 3 days ago. And I mean, that is by far my most popular video, right? But when I watch it, I look kind of sad. I think I had just blown a combine, and I was also recording in the morning, and I was trying to be quiet. But I seem kind of sad to me. I'm wondering why I'm not getting a signal here now at this point, because the 5-year, well, okay, I see what's going on. Is there's the news. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're gonna say 5. Yeah, there's all of the polling. Interesting. Okay, let's see here. This is the housing numbers, right? New home sales. Didn't you do a comparison between One Up and Top Step also? I'm not sure. I don't quite remember that. Okay, 646 versus 658. I'm just looking here. I thought that I had higher interest after a pullback. And then higher interest after a pullback. That was here at 18.5. Oh, so that was that one. And then there was this one. So this one actually went 2. And this is the one that went 4. Okay. So let me just double check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but not 6. Okay. That's the other thing that I like about this, is that I can get a pretty good idea about how many I should be taking. I don't have to sit and wonder about, can I wait and see if it goes for 8? Yeah, I don't remember doing a comparison per se, except for maybe on stream. But I don't know. Anyways, so I was telling this story. So I think that I had like just blown a combine. So I said, I'm going to save up, and then I'm going to try and put some money into an account. So I start trading in December, and I start doing amazing. Like, I just did great. And that kept up through January, February, and most of March. And by that point, I was able to put some money into an account and start trading it live. And I did good. I did amazing for like a week. I had this one trade where I made almost 16, 24 ticks, I think, off of an FOMC meeting. And I was just doing great. And then I completely fell apart. And I think part of it was that the market changed on us. Okay. We were in a very trending market, and all of a sudden it turned into a very range bound market. And so like my trade, the trade that I was taking, because the trade that I was taking was basically like the level break. And, you know, that one usually doesn't work. It was an unusual time. Anyways, so I lost it very quickly and went back to sim. Okay. And then I go through the whole summer. It's just awful trading. And then this last year again, through December to January, I did really great. So then I put some money in to be able to trade micros and just do some tepid stuff like I've been doing. But I had enough to trade the treasuries, so I put in a few because I saw some opportunity, and it was kind of the same thing. Like I did really great for a while, and then like in one day, like literally one day, I lost it all. And I don't know what was with me on that one day, but man, I made so many mistakes, and it was like I broke my rule. Like I should only lose 3 in a row, and I was still trading it. I don't know what I was doing. Do you ever blow? I've never blown an account like that. My broker has taken me out of a position. That's never happened. But have I taken the accounts down to where I wasn't comfortable trading it anymore? Absolutely. And that's where I am right now. Is that I'm not. I can't place orders in the 10-year right now. I can place them in the micro futures, but not the 10-year. But I think what I want to do, well, we're going to test this. And then hopefully I can put a little bit more in it for the fall. But we'll see. And if not the fall, definitely starting in January, I'm going to try it again. Because that seems to be the period that I do the best. Or if, the market decides to just completely fall apart. Algo Lover says ES is 3 handles shy of that 2013 target. Yeah, so let me show you this again. So here's the thing that I'm seeing right now that kind of concerns me. Because I was looking at it, I was like, well, could it continue? And then I came over here and I looked at this and I said, well, there's support, there's resistance, there's support. Seems like we're stuck in a range. I'm not necessarily seeing the news should be pushing us out of that range higher or lower or whatever. And here we're above the previous day's highs. We're above that previous swing high. But then I look at it and I'm like, that looks an awful lot like, well, at the time it was above, right? It wasn't this candle like it is now. Or sorry, this wick like it is now. But I was like, that kind of looks like that could be a false breakout. So now I'm looking at it and I'm wondering, are they going to try and retrace these single prints back to 3002? And I don't really know because I don't have probabilities on that sort of a thing in market profile and everything, but that just seems to me like that's enough of a possibility that I can't be like buying this up here. It seems like the risk reward just isn't very good anymore. Anyways, so that's kind of my story. So like the thing that is funny is that if I had started another combine like right then, and I had traded it for 3 months, and I might have needed to trade multiple contracts, but the long and short of it was I would have passed the combine at that point. But then I would have totally blown it because, man, my trading that summer, the summer of 2017, I guess it was so bad. I guess it was the summer of 2018. Yeah, my trading in the summer of 2018 was awful. It was extremely discouraging. It was like every effing day, just bad loss. I think that I had completely lost my mind. I think it was a combination of me completely losing my mind and me trading off a signal that is really spotty to begin with, and then trading in the summer on top of it. You know what I mean? There was a lot of stuff there at 21. They're still touching it, and we haven't gotten like another signal since. It kind of being like a low volume here now could potentially indicate higher, but I'm not sure if we're going to get another trade today. So these combines are how you get backing. Yeah, Noble Queen Mouse. So the way that it works is you pay an entrance fee. So it's usually about $150, and they give you a SIM account, and then you trade the SIM account for as long as you need. And if you go over a month, then you have to pay for another month. It's $150. But you can keep your profits and everything going, right? And you have to make $3,000. And you can trade up to like 4 to 6 contracts. So you got to make $3,000, and you can't have a drawdown of more than $2,000. So like if you make $2,000 and then you lose $3,000, then you're done, even though, so it's really hard because of the drawdown. The drawdown is really what kills you. And if you pass, then you get in. So the original one, the issue that people had with the original one was that if you pass the combine once, then they would put you in funded trader prep, where you would have to pass the combine again in order to get funded. Now, there are people that got funded. I've met the people that got funded, and they would come into the chat every once in a while. Like, they do exist. They're rare, but they do exist. But there was a lot of people that I knew that got that did that, and they got funded. And even after they were actually funded, they didn't give them a live account. You would make money, and if you made $1,000, you could pull $1,000 out of your account like a prop. But they tested it, and the orders were not actually going live. And Top Step Trader said, "Oh yes, we do that because we basically put you, once you go live, then you're on like a probationary period, and you have to trade for like a month or so live before we say that we'll actually make you live." Right? So he says how much funding, yeah, they have different types of funds. And the thing that's an issue there is that they say it's a $50,000 account, but then they only let you trade 6 contracts. All right. So with $50,000, you can trade like 50 contracts in Treasuries, right? Or sorry, you can trade like 100 contracts, can't you? 100 times 50? Yeah. So really it tells you, really it's like a $20,000 account. But anyways, or not even a $20,000 account. It's really more like a $4,000 to $6,000 account. Anyways, but it depends on the leverage you want to use and stuff. Anyways, but like we're saying, it's really hard to pass. And the thing is basically set up. Yes, Seth, very true. 1UP's 1,500 minimum to withdraw is probably in sim. Well, I don't know about 1UP, but what it was just talking about Top Step. So that's what I was told about Top Step. So I've had more than one person come into Discord and tell us that about Top Step. Do they publish any statistics about success rates? I don't think so. That they've published them, but I do believe in some of the webinars on futures.io that they have admitted that it's like a 90 to 95% failure rate. I think the rates match pretty closely the larger market. But the thing that irks me about it is that they kind of present it like, here's what I thought. I thought that if I can't be successful at the combine, then I'm not going to be successful in the regular market. And that's just not true. And that's the thing that I think that is dishonest, is that the profit target that they're asking for is really good. The risk parameters that they're asking for is really good, okay? You are an amazing trader if you can consistently pass that. You can get lucky and you can pass it one time. And that's why these other ones are saying, oh, you only have to pass it once and then we'll fund you and you'll be trading live, okay? But man, if you can actually do that consistently, you're really good. You're really good. And you probably should be trading a lot more than what they're giving you, Anyways, so that kind of bothers me. Joe says there's an article written on it, though. All right. Hey, Algo, thank you you had another good call today. So I kind of wish now in retrospect that I had taken it. I was actually was looking for long. It just, they didn't come back for me, did they? Anyways. Overnight has front run my dip buy. Oh. Gabe. So I'm wondering, did I not put one in at the 17? So there was the open. There was the one where it was breaking the high. And then there was another one at 18. Then there was this one on the news. Oh, okay. So that one we ignored. And then this one, right? Well, you gotta really zoom in on it first. Okay. So then there was this one and this one. And then we haven't said anything since. Except for the top of the hour news that you would have gotten out from there. But since then, it hasn't really told us much of anything. Kind of makes me think that they had their fill and they're done. I'd have to say, though, if we were trading with this, we might have been really happy if we had taken that long at 18.5. There's a very good YouTube video on One Up Trader called One Up Trader 5 Reasons Why I Won't Go With Them. Let's look that. I want to look that up and see. Yeah, like that. We got 15 minutes here. Oh, that was from before me, actually. I don't think it. Oh, it doesn't quite have as many as me. Who's this guy? Oh, I don't get to see his face. I don't know. It's really weird looking up other stuff on YouTube. I have found there are some other channels related to trading that are a lot bigger, but they're almost always talking about stocks. They're like, hey, I found this good trade on this stock today, and I show you how I do it. And I look at it, and I'm like, oh, that's not really the same thing. Anyways, and it's like, you could go through and you could trade like a dozen stocks that day on Sim and then just post the one that did well and turn around and say, hey, look, I do great every day, when you're totally full of shit. That's what I feel like. Or they don't do it live, or there's other things about it, like you can't actually see their face. You can't actually, I don't think that there's anybody else doing like a real room quite like this. The only other guy that I really knew of that was doing something like that was the Algo Box guys. And that was pretty much a scam. And he got kicked off of YouTube for harassing another channel. So not us, somebody else. So yeah, so now I'm pretty sure that we're definitely like the only ones. It's kind of interesting. Well, this is coming back down. Is there any advantage to trade stocks? Well, yes and no. So the advantage with stocks is that you can almost always find a big mover. And stocks have a tendency to want to go up. So you can have a thing where you're looking for momentum or a certain type of signal, and you only buy, and that works. And there's still a lot of the advantages that you would see in like treasuries. So like, they tend to have a lot of correlated instruments that you can look at, for instance. Okay. But there are disadvantages too. Okay. When you trade stocks, you're tending to talk about really volatile moves. So you can lose a lot still. It requires a lot of capital to actually make any money. Here in futures, you have the leverage where you can literally put like $1,000 into an account and trade it for a while. And even if you're bad, $1,000 can last you a couple months. But over in stocks, if you don't have tens of thousands of dollars, it's like not even worth it. So you'd have to put like your whole amount of cash into a stock to make anything from it. And then what happens? You lose 50% of it or something. It's just the leverage isn't very good. But then the other thing, and the big reason why I don't trade stocks is because it's just not a fair game. I mean, think about here in futures. By the way, that really came back after that news. That's interesting. And it did not, I mean, there are maybe some things that you could say were signals here, and here. But I think we should count this one right here. Let's put it in here really quick. It was at 21. Okay. So we're going to say it was up, but it's a range down day, and we were going up, and it was a reversal, and it was at 21. And you could have gotten 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we'll say you got 3 off of that one. And then here goes back into range, down, continuation, 19. Oh, no, sorry, it was 18.5. Right, because this one was from here, and this was 1, 2, 3. So then this one was 1, 2, and how much is traded at 18? Maybe 3. Okay, 2 and 1. Sorry, I'm a little ADHD, and so sometimes I will like get a break, and I'll be like, okay, like I should really do this, or I should really talk about this thing first, and then we can come back to this thing. So sometimes I'm a little scatterbrained. I know that not everybody can handle that, but I'm glad you're still with me, Noble Quimo. So what was I saying? But it's just not a fair playing field. Okay. Like when I'm looking at futures, I can see every order on the exchange. I can see all of the volume, all of the most important information is there. When I look at stocks, it's not the same game because your orders aren't even actually going to the exchange. You're just trading with your broker, essentially. And in most cases, people are doing Robinhood, and Robinhood is selling your order flow. Okay. So already you've got that working against you. But then the specialists, they have this data that is just insane. And I know this because I worked with Goldman Sachs for like 6 years. And one of the things that we did there was we provided data streams that specialists used to make markets in the stocks. And they can do things like, okay, if interest rates changed and they changed by X percent, and this is how much it affects all of the assets that company owns. And they basically create a model that's like, okay, this company owns this, and this, and these are the things that we know about it. And how has the market movements today affected the assets that company holds? And they can calculate it literally real time and trade the price of the company based off of that information. You cannot do that retail. And so it's not like you can't make money doing stocks because, like I said, if there's a momentum mover, what's this, these guys that are making fake meat, that would probably be one that I would be trying to trade if I was a stock trader, right? Because it would be really liquid, lots of interest and lots of momentum. Obviously, you can make money off of momentum, but I'm just saying you're trading at a significant disadvantage. I mean, here in futures, we can see all of the information. We can absolutely see all of the information, but I can't see what volume isn't out there yet. I can't see where the iceberg actually is. And so even though it's fair information-wise, because of the amount of size and the time horizon that we're trading on, it's still not fair. You know, you can make money, but it's not fair, you know. But in stocks, you're at such a disadvantage. It's just crazy. And then, you know, contrast that to Forex, where they're literally just trading against you. And I know some people that have made money trading Forex, but it's very fleeting. And the truth of the matter is that the most of the money made in Forex is trading against retailers. You don't want to trade Forex. Or even Bitcoin margin. I wouldn't do that either. Some people say they day trade Bitcoin. I would not recommend day trading Bitcoin because most of what they're doing right now is just liquidating margin positions. Yeah. Noble Quimo says even when you couldn't see it all, it was still fairer than equities. Yeah. The specialists in equities have had a significant advantage for such a long time that, you know, that's why back in the 80s, the real trading moved over to the futures. Not the real trading, but like the real traders, like your market maker type of person, they did futures. Ari Fletcher. Jim Jordan let Mueller off easy. When asked about Joseph Mifsud, Mueller said it was outside his purview, yet his own report discussed Mifsud. I don't know how to say that. Mifsud. Specifically, Mifsud's conversation with Papadopoulos. It was clear that Mueller doesn't know what his own report says. Okay, so Esarejo is asking, what platform do you use? And yeah, Greg, I think that Greg was answering for me that I use NinjaTrader 8 and the Jigsaw DOM, which is correct. I have another video. I have already written about that, but I want to get a hold of Pete first. I want to see. He told me that we can get an affiliate link for the Discord. I want to do that before I put that video out, and I need to edit it and everything. But I have it recorded. And I explain why I use those. But yeah, I'm using NinjaTrader 8 and Jigsaw. NinjaTrader primarily because I can program it in C#, right? I use Sierra also. It's $24. I have no use for the extra stuff you get at a higher price. Yeah, Sierra Charts is, man, I think that Sierra Charts is actually the most popular in our room. Could be wrong about that, but now I can see that the Floor guys took their small cut, but it's hard to begrudge them after seeing what they went through. But now with this kind of data, it's almost perfect. Yeah, the data that you get is amazing. But it's a competitive market, and those robots are tough sometimes, you know? The problem that I have is like when there's a reason for it to move, I can usually make money. But they're really good at making it look like there's a reason for it to move when there isn't, you know? They're really good at making me think that it's going to do something and then not do it. I don't know. Oh, I put 18.5 and it was actually 19.5. 19.5, 2 and 1, and then at 18.5. Okay, so we're gonna say range down, reversal possibly 185. We'll see. Sierra feels like an old piece of software, but it's very light in your computer and it never hangs. This is really... Well, that's one of the things that I like about Jigsaw. You know, if you just put those DOMs up there, even when it was in beta, I never had that crash on me. NinjaTrader 8 crashes all the fucking time. That might be some indicators and stuff, though. I'm going to put this one down as, okay, interest spike after news. I think another thing I should point out, that one that was right here at 19.5, when you get a signal like that, it can be a continuation, but usually they'll go through it for 2 ticks and then reverse. So they went through it for 2 ticks and now we're back down here at 18.5 and they're getting another one. That again is probability is that it's going to move back up here. Except for that, because of the fall and everything else like that in the direction, I'm not sure that you would want to take it. Okay, so that's all that. So now, if you just give me a second here. Oh, well, while that's going, let me generate my charts for the Patreon supporters. Again, if you look in the video description, I have a link to my Patreon page, and I post Bitcoin charts there every day that give you a very long-term, but very solid historical edge. Right now, it says that the Bitcoin market is overbought. But you can go and look at that, and you can see my comments on it every day to see what you think about it for yourself. But I've made money off of it. I would highly recommend it. So now I want to come here to YouTube. My channel. Here we go. So I'm going to give you guys a link here. Here's the new video up. There we go. So I just gave you guys there in YouTube chat the link to my new YouTube video. So if you guys could go over and watch that video and leave a good comment on it, I would really appreciate it. There's my comment. Okay, so what's behind your ninja crashes? Any idea? I really don't know. Sometimes it just does weird stuff. I think that it was maybe an indicator that I had on there, because I haven't had any problems with it lately. But yeah, there could be any number of things. And the problems with the NinjaTrader is that, I mean, there's so many indicators, right? And anybody can write anything, and you never know what kind of dumb decisions they made in their indicators. Most of the indicators out there aren't the most organized codes, you know what I mean? Yep, crappy code. So, you know, that's how it goes. And let's leave one over here. Yeah, I've noticed. So you've been looking at their code. Well, I don't. I mean, I like to try and keep things clean, but I think one of the reasons why it happens is because you want to change things a lot. Like there's a lot of, what do you call it? Curve fitting, So you go in and you'll write it in a way that makes it really easy for you to change around the if statements and everything to get what you want. But it is not exactly the most clean and easy to read code because of that, right? And most people, once they've decided on what it actually should do and what the specifics are, never go back in and clean everything up. So like a really good example is like these ones that draw stuff, they'll have this huge, 2,000 line thing about drawing the code, and they don't split up the functions at all. It's just crazy. So yeah. The other thing that is kind of a problem is that they will write it to what would normally be like best standard practices for C#, but aren't very best practice standards for giving people sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's like you might have a helper class that's in a different file, and that's harder to give other people. And so then when I import it into my workspace, I get all this extra stuff and namespaces that I don't need. Okay. No BS Day Trading has very poor ratings at Amazon. What did you like on that book? Oh, so Esarejo, the reason why on Amazon it has a very poor rating is because that's just like a free book that was just intended to promote the actual thing. To get the actual book, you have to go to nobsdaytrading.com. And it's like $70 or $90 or something like that. But that's why I think that the thing that I linked to on Amazon, maybe I shouldn't link to the Amazon one in that particular case, but I figured I should put in an affiliate link on it anyways. But when you go on to like futures.io or anywhere else and you look at that, No BS Day Trading really is the best value trading education out there. What you learn from that, because it comes with a book, a PDF, an ebook, and it's something that you can read in an afternoon, but it's really great, and it explains the sorts of things that we're looking for in the order flow, and also the things that like you need to get started, like how to find a broker and how to decide what to trade and all that sort of thing. But then he also has like 10 videos, and he actually shows some of these trades. And it is quite literally where I started learning how to trade from this. I mean, I knew a lot of other stuff before that, but this is when I said, okay, this is the way that I want to trade. I'm going to look for the things that he talks about, and I'm just going to watch order flow for days and days at a time until I figure it out. And that's how I got started. I think, especially for Treasuries, it is absolutely the way to go. It is a great book. That Amazon rating is because it's not really the actual book. I think that's why they got it. Why it's like that. Probably somebody saw it and was like, no, it's just, it's just like an introductory chapter sort of a thing. But yeah, that's, if you haven't read it, I'd highly recommend it. And dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Anyways, Greg says Grady's beginner course is great for reading the DOM. Then you need to put in hundreds of hours, right? That's exactly That's exactly what it's about, though. I'll tell you what, it's not. It is the most difficult way to trade. Really, when you think about it, it is the most difficult way to trade. It is probably not the most profitable. Well, it is definitely not the most profitable way to trade. The vast majority of people fail at it. But the advantage of it is that if you do put in the work, you can become incredibly consistent. And that's really what it comes down to with that one. So, and I enjoy it. I think that's the big thing, is that in order to really trade this way, you've really got to enjoy it. Yeah. Anyways. Hold on a second. Gotta type something here. I wouldn't attempt to do it, but my friend with the Merc membership was a floor trader for a long time, and trading like this is second nature to him. Yeah. Well, the goal is to do 20 lots for ticks and the runners. Yeah, I'm wondering, what is John Grady's average winner, Because I've watched him do videos where he only took 2, and I'm doing some of this stuff, and I'm seeing them, and I'm like, oh, you should only be taking 2. That was a move up, and there was I think that happened before it moved up, but I'm not sure. Don reading as a brain burner. Yeah, well, the thing that I was going to say is that what we do is still a little different from the floor traders, right? A lot of floor traders had a really hard time making the transition because they couldn't make a read, because on the floor you could see that, oh, that guy is from Goldman Sachs, or like you knew who you were trading against and stuff. And nowadays you don't. And here they can totally throw you up and you have no clue what's doing. Craig says he might lose money. I don't know. Yeah, I've never seen him post stats. I know that he has had profitable time periods. I don't know if he's profitable this year, but he certainly knows what he's talking about, and he's certainly more experienced than myself. I also think he's probably more disciplined than myself. Anyways, well, it is time for me to get going. So again, guys, if you could go and leave a comment on the video that I just posted with your favorite trading book within the next hour, that really helps the video out. And I think that thread could be a really good resource for everybody. So I think that it'll really benefit everybody if you go over there and just leave a comment what your favorite trading book is, or which one you think is the best. And I list 5 that I think that everybody should read, but I know that there's like way more than that should be mentioned. So, go and put a comment in there. It'll really help us out. Noble Queen, you had knowledge of your own book that no one else did. Yep, that's a big deal. And Greg says you lost 700. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. You know what, though? I know that Greg has had good times and bad times too. Sometimes bad days happen. Well, I'm going to shut things down so you guys can go and watch that video. And, I'll post the Patreon notes. And hopefully tomorrow we'll have better trading when the Mueller thing is over. I hope it's over tomorrow, right? I don't think that he's testifying tomorrow. Anyways, but in the meantime, hey, stay profitable, friends.